Narcissist Seduction, Episode 32. Ian Wynne sat waiting in the pub. Typically, Ashleigh was late. He had received one message from her the previous evening. "I'm okay. Love you. With Amelia. Can't message more. Kiss, kiss, kiss." He had not bothered to reply in light of the content of her message. Moreover, he wanted to speak to her face to face. The assault on Ashleigh and Helen Major's comment had resulted in him tossing and turning for most of the night. He hated Peter, and what he did, but if Helen was right, and that he had left Ashleigh several weeks ago, why had she continued to make up tales about him? He appreciated that to others that she might have wanted to keep up an appearance, but she knew she did not have to do that with him. On the contrary, his exit, if it was true, was exactly what he wanted. Wynne was torn. He found himself wanting it to be true, so that it meant that Peter had gone, and that he and Ashleigh could now be together properly. Then again, he didn't want it to be true, for if it was, Ashleigh had been lying to him for some time, and he could fathom no reason as to why that should be the case. He had risen at 6 a.m., and despite the cold and the dark, he had gone for a run, hoping that the exercise would provide him with some clarity. Whilst it lifted the nagging tiredness from him, it did not aid his thoughts, and he nearly got run over by a taxi as he jogged. Such was the level of his preoccupation. As usual, just after 8 a.m., she had sent him a message asking him to call her. He duly did so, and they conversed for half an hour as she drove into the city to work. Wynne had tried to keep the tension from his voice as he repeatedly wanted to ask her about Helen Major's revelation, but he managed to resist doing so. Ashleigh had talked in quite an upbeat manner, focusing on some merger that she was involved in, providing the finance for. She seemed dismissive of the previous evening's events, saying that Peter was ensconced in the study when she got back, and that she'd fallen asleep on Amelia's bed. As Wynne listened to her relaying what had happened on her return to the house, he had found himself wondering whether it was true. Was Peter even there? Had he actually struck her? She had certainly called Wynne from her car, as he had heard the engine when she was driving back. Had she left Amelia alone and driven away to speak to him? Perhaps the nanny was there, but Peter was not. His mind twisted with the various permutations. He had suggested meeting for lunch, and Ashleigh was happy to do so. They had agreed to meet at the usual pub. And as he sat in the corner part of the pub, nearly 3 months since when they first had done so, he reflected on how fast their relationship had proceeded. Sometimes he told himself that so little time had elapsed, and that it needed longer to bed in. Yet he soon dismissed such thoughts. They had seen each other so often, spoken so many times, messaged one another many times more, he felt that they had probably stuffed 2 years' worth of what an ordinary couple might do into their 3 months. Anyway, what was time but an artificial measurement? He loved her. She loved him. That was all that mattered. Wynne felt anxiety rising in his stomach. All that mattered to him was Ashleigh. She had pulled him out of the rut that he had been in ever since the end of his marriage. He had often sat at home doubting he would ever enter into another relationship. He felt he would be too used to being alone, doing his own thing and become set in his ways. Then along came Ashleigh. He didn't see her coming, a tornado of love and passion that had taken hold of him and injected life back into him. He sat, remembering each and every time they had met, the circumstances and the conversations. It was all logged in his mind. Such was the zest that she exhibited. It was as if each time they came together or contacted one another, it was seared into his mind, indelibly linked there as a marvellous memory that he could return to time and time again. Peter was a fool. How could he treat such a magnificent woman in this way? She was beautiful, thoughtful, elegant and intelligent. Surely he realized that he was punching above his weight with her. Admittedly, Peter seemed to be a sharp chap and was successful in his business, but that seemed to be all that mattered to him. The successful businessman, backed by the attractive wife and children, trappings that made him appear better to the world around him. Wynne wondered when he might meet this monster. It was bound to happen at some point. No doubt it would be a tense and fraught occasion. He suspected that a man like Peter would not like to lose someone like Ashleigh, purely because it would make him look bad to his friends and family. Wynne considered how such a meeting might come about. Would he have to intervene in a confrontation between the two, and be revealed as the rescuing White Knight? Or would Ashleigh be able to slip away from him, and his existence would only come about at a later stage? He suspected that it would be the former. Wynne doubted that this marriage would just fizzle out. There were bound to be fireworks. He sipped at his blackcurrant and soda and looked up as Ashleigh entered the pub. She smiled on seeing him and pointed to the drink that he'd already bought for her. "Everything okay?" she asked, as she sat down and placed her hand on his arm. "Yes, fine." "Good." She picked up her drink and took a couple of gulps. "How's your morning been?" Wynne asked. He wanted to ask her about Helen Major straight away, but didn't want to appear too aggressive by diving into the subject. "Oh, you know, people wanting to get things done before Christmas. You'd think the world was going to end." "Yes, people want to clear their desks so they can enjoy the Christmas break." "How are you getting on with clearing yours?" "If you manage it, that will make more time for us, won't it?" "I'm doing pretty well. We've had a good year, and my assistants are handling what needs to be done. It enables me to get out and do some more marketing." "You mean boozing?" "You might call it that. I call it marketing." Ashleigh made a face. "Well, if your work is winding down, we could leave the office a little earlier and have a bit more time in bed together," she suggested. "You won't find me complaining about that," replied Wynne. "Good. I do like being with you in your bedroom. I think it's because it's the only room at the top of your house, as it feels like we're at the top of a tower, safe and away from everything. Do you know what I mean?" Wynne nodded and took a drink. "How are your team getting on?" he asked. "Oh, fine. They're pretty busy. I think they're a bit nervous since they know I am leaving, and I sense they want to talk to me about that. Probably looking to see if they can secure a move with me. I can understand that. I would rather move and work for me than stay there. I haven't had the time to chat with them about it, though. Busy with that merger. They are good people. I would like to take them with me." "I should imagine a few of them would be nursing hangovers after last night," remarked Wynne, as he fixed his gaze on Ashleigh. "Oh, no, the do is tonight. Silly me. I got the dates muddled up," she answered quickly, waving her hand about her face as if to fan her silliness away. "Yes, I know." "You know?" "Yes." "Then why did you mention hangovers, then?" she asked, eyes narrowing. "I just wanted to be sure you knew when your department due was." Another pause, and she looked hard at him. She seemed to be looking for some kind of clue as to what to say next, but her expression kept shifting. 1 second it was one of scrutiny, and the next one of puzzlement, before shifting to scrutiny again, and then mild annoyance. "Why?" "You said it was last night." "I know I did. I got it muddled up. I have baby brain, remember? Seriously, I need to write things down more. I keep getting them mixed up." "Is there anything else you've got muddled up?" Wynne asked. Ashleigh frowned, unsure how to take his comment. Wynne stayed silent. He watched again in interest, as if she was trying to work out which one was the right one to wear, as a number of different expressions flickered across her face. It was as if she would try one, and if there was no reaction from Wynne, dismiss it and move on to the next one. She said nothing. Neither did he. He kept watching. Her expression shifted from surprise, then to hurt, then to inquisitiveness, and then a scowl. Wynne still did not react, and the scowl receded to be replaced by the hurt expression again. Are you cross with me? She asked. Not at the moment, no. What does that mean? Wynne hesitated. He noticed that her hands were clasped together, and she was pressing her hands tight together. She was evidently anxious. He did not take any satisfaction from seeing her like this, but he had to get to the bottom of Helen Major's comment. It means I'm not at this moment. But you might be. Her voice trailed off. I don't know. That rather depends on you. Ian, what is it? Have I done something wrong? Have I forgotten to do something for you? Oh, I'm such a sieve-head at the minute. It's him. He has me on tenterhooks, and I get all jangled. I can't stand it when he does that to me. I get all anxious and feel sick. She started babbling. It's all right, calm down, said Wynne. He couldn't maintain the scrutiny. It wasn't fair. He was acting like Peter, and he inwardly cursed himself for it. Well, what is it then? I don't understand. Okay. I rang Helen Major last night. Why? Wynne looked surprised at her question. You asked me to. Last night you remember speaking to me in the car? Yes, I rang you after he was horrible to me. That's right. You said you didn't feel like going to the drinks do, even though you hadn't realised you'd got the wrong night. Yes, the last thing I wanted to do was make merry after what he did. I just wanted to be with you, to be honest. She reached out and took his hand. You asked me to ring Helen Major. Do you remember why? Ashleigh paused and stared at Wynne. Her eyes flickered and then a light flared in them. To tell her I could not go? Yes. Yes, sorry. I'm still a bit het up. It's okay. So I rang her, and she was in the bath, and she told me that the do was tonight and not last night. I covered for you and said that you must have got muddled up. Well, that's true. Yes, and she also said that it was no surprise that you had got muddled up, because you were doing your job and having to bring up the children on your own. Absolutely, and add a pig of an unhelpful husband into the mix. Well, that's where the conversation got interesting. Did it? Yes. I said that you weren't on your own because you have Sarah to help you. Helen said that you didn't because Peter had left you 4 weeks ago and that he had been seeing Sarah behind your back for 2 years. She said that Peter had left you for Sarah. Ashleigh stared at Wynne for a fraction of a second, and then she exploded. What? She said what? 2 men stood at the bar and turned at the sudden noise. Wynne gave them an apologetic smile and turned back to Ashleigh. Shh, calm down. Calm down? After she said that? Jesus, Ian, where did she get that from? Actually, she said you told her that that was what had happened. Ashleigh fell silent. Wynne could see that she was grinding her teeth, her nostrils intermittently flaring. She looked at him, and then to the window, and then back at him. Had she been drinking? Well, yes, she was drinking champagne in the bath. Ha! I knew it. Pissed and got it all wrong. She didn't sound drunk to me, not even slightly drunk. She's good at covering it up, believe me. Ashleigh leant in towards him. I think she drinks at work. She keeps a small bottle of Coke on her desk, and it never seems to go down. I think she keeps it topped up with vodka. Well, I don't know anything about that. I'm rather more interested in whether what she said is true. Of course it's not fucking true. She made it up, snapped Ashleigh. Why on earth would she do that? Asked Wynne. I don't fucking know. She was pissed from a day on the sauce. She was probably on the expensive too, if you ask me. Look, she sounded perfectly coherent to me. She didn't tell it to me in a nasty or judgmental fashion. In fact, she was highly supportive and sympathetic. She said you had confided in her, and she thought she was the only one you had told. I had said to her a while ago that I thought Peter had the glad eye for Sarah. I have caught him staring at her bottom when she's been leant over, that kind of thing. She's not unattractive, and he's a perv. Right? I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he had been playing away with her. After all, she is young. Everything is where it should be on her body. She hasn't had 2 children. Come to think of it, he's always pleasant to her, but never to me. Do you know, he once said that he thought she looked after Christopher better than me. Can you believe that? I'm Christopher's mother. I carried him for nearly 9 months. He wouldn't know what a good mother is. Wynne watched as rage rolled across Ashleigh's face. The list of Peter's vile behaviour just kept getting longer and longer. So, has he been having an affair with Sarah, or not? Asked Wynne. He wouldn't dare. He would not dare, said Ashleigh. Her eyes darted about the room and she fidgeted. OK, so Helen Major is making it all up, is she? Well, either she didn't hear me correctly when I told her about Peter, or she has just come out with some fantastic tale. So you didn't say anything like that to her? No. Peter hasn't left you? No. I want to leave him, remember? I do. I did find it strange what she said, especially since minutes earlier you had telephoned me to say that he'd punched you in the stomach. Exactly. I had best have a word with her, then, said Wynne. Can't have her spreading rumours, not like that. No, said Ashleigh firmly. I will speak to her. I want to, said Wynne. She's out of line. No, Ian, she said it about me. I should be the one that has a word with her and puts her straight. To be honest, I think she's probably made it up about me because she's jealous that I've secured a move to Combank. She wants to get out as well. Well, who doesn't? She had an interview with Combank, but I got the position, so this is her spiteful way of getting back at me. Well, I have to say it's a pretty low way of doing it and a rather stupid one. It was bound to get back to you soon enough. Well, she isn't the brightest, is she? If you jump from her ego down to her IQ, she would have quite a fall, believe me. Wynne laughed at the comment. No, leave it with me. I shall have a quiet word with her when I get back to the office. She is bound to feel embarrassed about this. Fair enough. You do believe me, don't you? Asked Ashleigh. Yes. I mean, if you want, I could call Peter now, and so long as you stayed quiet, I could put him on hands-free and ask him what he wants for dinner. No, you don't need to do that. I believe you. Besides, I'm likely to have something to say to him after what he did to you. Leave it. I can take care of myself. And of you, she added, as she ran her hand along his thigh. I swear you are insatiable, smiled Wynne, relieved to have the matter cleared up. Only for you, replied Ashleigh, and she gave him one of her broad smiles, which he loved so much. Have you ordered my Christmas present yet? She asked. That would be telling. I've got you something. I'll send it to your house. Obviously I can't send it to my house, so don't open any packages that you don't recognise, OK? Duly noted. What will you do for Christmas, then? I wish I could spend it with you. I'm going to my brother's on Christmas Eve. We will have a few drinks. I like it there because of the children, you know. You'll be a fantastic dad. Well, I like to think so. I know so. Actually, I said to Amelia the other evening, what does she think of having you as a stepdad? Sorry, you said what? We were talking about you. You know how much she enjoys the daft things you do on the phone when we talk after our hockey training. Yes, and I like to do them for you both. Oh, she adores it, Ian. She likes the fact that you do a quiz for me and then one for her too. She's my mini-me, you see. What is wonderful is that she does all the things I did as a child. She is especially good at her acting. Yes, you've mentioned it previously. Yes, the lessons she gets from Gareth really seem to help her. Mind you, I think he only comes round to see me. After the lesson, he always stands chatting to me. He bought me some flowers the other day. He's so sweet. He's on his own. Probably just enjoys your company, said Wynne. Yes. Anyway, we were talking about you, and I asked her what you would think if we all lived together. She said she thought it would be fantastic. Much as I'm flattered by that, Ashleigh, don't you think it's a dangerous thing to say to an 8-year-old child? Ashleigh pulled her hand away from stroking Wynne's thigh, and she gave him a quizzical look. Why? Well, for one, she's just 8 years old. She won't understand what you mean. Oh, she will. She's very clever. She's 8 years old. So, I'm doing this for her. I'm getting her away from him. Don't you want to look after her too? Yes, of course, you know that. But she just thinks of me as your funny friend who makes up stories and so on. What if she mentioned a conversation to Peter? Asked Wynne. She won't. You sound very sure. I am. She knows not to say such things to him. Anyway, even if she did, he wouldn't hear. If she says anything, she has to repeat it several times before he will even notice her. She's got used to not bothering him with anything anymore. That's a sad situation to be in, isn't it? I told you, he's not bothered about the children. Oh, yes, he'll boast to his parents and his friends about how well Amelia is doing with school and her sports. Then when he comes home, he just ignores her and never praises her. Really? Yes. Poor thing, commented Wynne. Oh, she's fine. She's got me, remember? I do the work of 2 parents. To be honest, we're more like sisters. It's great. Well, when we have our own home, she will be listened to. I don't doubt that. What are you going to do at Christmas? Asked Wynne. My parents will come over. I think they will want to keep an eye on things. Oh, are they coming back from Gran Canaria? Asked Wynne. Yes, fly back this weekend. They will come round early and stay most of the day. He won't like that, but tough. What about his family? Ashleigh gave a sigh. They're hard work. His parents are divorced. His mum lives alone, so she will want us to go there on Boxing Day, so she doesn't feel too miserable. His father always hosts a party on Boxing Day, and will be pressing Peter to go there. He will get grumpy about it all and no doubt take it out on all of us. Can't you go to his mother's during the day and his father's in the evening? Well, that would be the sensible thing to do, but they will both want us for all of the day, to cock a snook at the other. You wouldn't believe they are in their 60s, would you? So childish. Sounds to me that they might be the source of much of Peter's problems. Oh, don't make excuses for him. He is evil. Well, he certainly sounds so. He is. Anyway, I don't want to talk about him anymore. Let's order some food, and then we can talk about where we will live and where we will go on our first holiday. I would like to choose where we go, just because he always gets to pick where we usually go. Fair enough, said Wynne. He picked up the menu, and Ashleigh leaned into him, slipping her arm around his, coiling herself about him. Despite this, Wynne still felt something wasn't quite right.